Since the disastrous Oval Office meeting between the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and US President Donald Trump, it's been a dizzying few days for Europe's leaders, barely able to keep up with the pace of events as post-Cold War alliances are upturned. Trump's refusal until now to offer Kyiv and Europe security guarantees in the event of a Ukraine ceasefire has chilled a continent fearful of Russian aggression, but also propelled it into action.
We must act united as Europeans and determined to protect ourselves.
Europe wants to ramp up defence spending, arms production and military cooperation. There's talk of it being a defining moment for Europe, a wake-up call. Since World War II, the US has ensured Europe's security, helping to create NATO and deploying thousands of soldiers as a deterrent. If the US steps away, filling the gap won't be easy because Europe lacks weapons and coordination.
If we put in European air power, we could probably clear the skies over Ukraine. That would be a significant benefit for Ukraine, but ultimately no. I mean, do we have what it takes to, at this point in time, deter Russia? I think the answer to that is clearly no.
Outside Europe's parliament in Brussels, parts of the Berlin Wall that separated Soviet-controlled Eastern Europe from the West for nearly 3 decades. Fragments of a past that still cast a long shadow. There's a real sense of urgency in Europe as EU leaders prepare for an emergency summit on Ukraine. They'll be talking about bolstering aid to Kyiv, defence sovereignty for the continent, and Franco-British efforts to draw up a peace plan for Ukraine that would be palatable to Washington.
We need to ensure that the US, the UK, Europe and Ukraine are working together, but we must not choose between the US and Europe.
Britain and France say European troops could be deployed to Ukraine to keep a future peace, but not everyone's convinced.
The problem with the peacekeeping force is it's not something for 3 years or 6 months. It could be 30 years. Nothing will happen without the agreement of the Russians and the US and without US support.
The EU isn't only battling external hostilities. Hungary's pro-Moscow leader Viktor Orban opposes Ukrainian aid. For the EU to tackle its security emergency, it must ensure its plans are not derailed from within before it's too late. Natacha, Butler, Al Jazeera, Brussels.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.